Utah's a little greedy state and they wanted to keep it. So what they did was, now they're putting all these people down as having mental illnesses and everything else. You get Social Security faster. You can test the physical illness, but the mental, you can play with it. People play it every day.
I'm getting ready to go on treatment center to get myself together because I miss being healthy. I miss just about everything from a normal life. I miss it.
Yeah, everybody's like, it's getting cutthroat out here. People are robbing each other, stealing from one another. Instead of helping each other out, we're doing the exact opposite and kicking somebody when they're down, just like us.
What if the so-called land of opportunity, the place we celebrate for hustle and big dreams, is quietly consuming itself? One eviction notice, one layoff, one overdose at a time. Picture it by late 2024, an estimated 770,000 people in this country. Folks just like you and me are out in the cold, sleeping under overpasses or in sprawling tent camps, popping up like weeds in our shining cities. That's roughly 1 in every 430 of us fading into the margins. Homelessness outreach teams touched the lives of more than 1.1 million people just last year, a 12% jump from 2023. These aren't just numbers on a chart. They're hundreds of thousands of stories older adults wrapped in thin blankets, parents fighting to hide their fear from their kids, families grabbing broken sleep on park benches. Do we still have enough compassion left to look them in the eye and ask, how did things get this bad? And beyond that, what have we, our communities, our leaders, our economy done to help create this mess, especially for the homeless in America? Isn't it maddening, almost unthinkable, that we've spent trillions propping up Wall Street and corporate giants while letting our neighbors drown in a sea of $2,000 a month shoebox apartments? It forces us to question the whole story we tell about ourselves. Are we truly a nation of second chances, or a machine that grinds down the vulnerable and labels them statistics?
But Utah's a little greedy state and they wanted to keep it. So what they did was, now they're putting all these people down as having mental illnesses and everything else. You get Social Security faster. You can test the physical illness, but the mental, you can play with it. People play it every day. You see them play it on the streets. They'll act really fucking nuts. They'll go in and they'll flunk that test. But it's a game.
Stay with me because what comes next isn't a dry policy briefing. It's 5 hard truths that show how everyday people slide into this nightmare, from job roulette and rent explosions to the fentanyl chokehold, the slow bleed of poverty policy missteps, and the mental health crisis we pretend not to see. This piece lays it all open with fresh data, raw stories that stick with you, and a way forward that proves we can change the script if we find the will. So tell me, what's the one strand in this knot that keeps you awake at night? Let's pull it apart together. Right now across this country, people who've worked hard their whole lives are losing their footing, not because they're lazy or reckless, but because of the brutal squeeze of unstable jobs and runaway rents that mock the promise of the American dream. It's a gut punch I've seen more times than I care to count folks who follow the rules still ending up sleeping in their cars. And honestly, to me, this isn't just bad breaks. It feels like a rigged system where the deck is stacked against the little guy from the jump. Recent research from the Federal Reserve in Minneapolis shows the tide is still rising, with the homelessness rate climbing 30% to 2.3 per 1,000 people by 2024, driven directly by job loss and underemployment that blow up any sense of housing stability. And let's stir the pot for a second. Politicians in DC love to preach personal responsibility, but what's more outrageous? Individual choices or a setup that lets median rents shoot through the roof while ignoring gig economy traps that leave workers with no safety net at all. Rents in most major metro areas have jumped nearly 20% over the past 3 years, according to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition's 2024 figures. In Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, a modest place barely big enough for a family can easily run between $2,500 and $4,000 a month, while median incomes lag far behind the real cost of living. Who can sustain that without cracking? Low-wage workers, especially in service healthcare support and retail, are stuck with paychecks that simply don't match reality. For them, every shift is a grind just to keep the lights on, and food on the table, never mind building any kind of cushion or securing a stable roof. This whole storm only worsened after COVID-era tenant protections ended shoving countless families toward eviction when they could no longer scrape together the rent. Meanwhile, affordable housing often feels more like a slogan than a solution. Our housing policies don't have the muscle to truly confront the crisis. Some cities have made big promises to invest in lower-cost units, but those efforts still fall painfully short of what's needed on the ground. This kind of inequality hangs on like a stubborn stain, hitting the most vulnerable, especially the homeless in America, right where it hurts. Are we really going to stand by while an entire generation of hardworking people who've given everything just to float lose the homes they fought to keep? What will it take to reverse this tide? There's no shortage of ideas out there, but at the core, nothing beats guaranteeing every person a solid, secure place to call home. This isn't their problem, it's ours collectively. And if we're serious, we need to roll up our sleeves and face it head-on starting now. These days, fentanyl, a synthetic painkiller around 50 times stronger than heroin, has become the central force pulling millions into the abyss. Xylazine, nicknamed Trank, is a veterinary sedative that doesn't just knock people down. It can cause severe skin damage and deep wounds, leaving users looking and feeling like ghosts of themselves. And then there's methamphetamine, a powerful stimulant that keeps people awake for days, twists their thoughts and pushes them toward paranoia, aggression, or complete withdrawal from everyone around them. What's even more disturbing is that the homeless in America aren't just collateral damage. They often end up as targets of a system too weak and under-resourced to pull them back from the edge. In places like Kensington and Philadelphia, the daily reality for homeless residents has turned into a relentless nightmare for the entire neighborhood. The sight of people so lost they barely recognize themselves moving through streets saturated with drugs exposes a support system that's stretched thin and failing. This vicious loop where every attempt at treatment is undercut by a lack of services begs the question, how long can this keep going? A February 2025 report from the University of California, San Francisco shows roughly 65% of people experiencing homelessness have used illicit drugs regularly at least 3 times a week at some point in their lives, and that number keeps climbing. It's not just fentanyl, the deadly substance behind more than 72,000 overdose deaths in 2023, according to the National Center for Drug Abuse Statistics. Meth and Xylazine trank on the street are spreading into nearly every corner of daily life, often being mixed with cocaine or heroin to create doses of pure, unpredictable danger. The heartbreaking truth is that addiction usually isn't the first spark. It's often the grim destination after a long string of blows, job loss from that first factor. We talked about a slide into poverty and finally crushing isolation. That's what fuels the brutal cycle substance use costs someone their job, losing that job, ramps up the cravings, and without real medical and social support, everything spirals faster and deeper. Have you ever wondered how a dedicated worker, the kind who shows up day after day, can be pushed right to the edge by forces way beyond their control, when sometimes all it would take is one strong hand reaching back to pull them up? Some conservative voices insist addiction is purely a matter of personal choice, that they brought it on themselves. But that view misses the bigger picture, doesn't it? When you look at porous borders for dangerous drugs, the lack of free or affordable rehab, and a patchy mental health system, it starts to look like the system itself is playing the role of accomplice, turning victims into convenient villains. In reality, a study in the Harm Reduction Journal from 2023, still relevant today, found that people exposed to fentanyl-meth combinations face double the risk of homelessness, because it doesn't just wreck their bodies, it tears apart the fragile web of support around them. So with all our wealth, data, and technology, are we really doing everything we can to break this chain, or just watching as people sink deeper into the shadows? What we need are integrated, judgment-free treatment programs, available right now so no one loses their home or their life over an addiction they never truly chose in the first place. Poverty and sudden economic shocks are impossible to ignore when we talk about homelessness in the United States, especially when we look honestly at the rise of the homeless in America. So many people know that suffocating feeling when life turns upside down without warning, losing a job facing medical bills that explode overnight, or seeing a natural disaster wipe out everything they've built. Any one of these blows can shove someone from stability into homelessness almost instantly. The hard truth is this: when a family loses its main source of income, everything can shift in a heartbeat. How can they possibly keep going when daily costs keep climbing and the support system underneath them is weak or missing? Recent data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that more than 12% of Americans are living below the poverty line, and nearly 40% of those struggling can't fully cover their basic monthly expenses. That means they're walking a tightrope, always one crisis away from losing their homes. When tough times drag on, many are forced into sleeping on the streets in their vehicles or in makeshift shelters that offer little safety or dignity. At that point, they become part of the growing number of homeless in America, another line in statistics that should trouble us all. Are we really willing to let so many people fall into this situation just because of a financial blow they couldn't control? We need to be honest, today's poverty and social instability are not about laziness. They're not individual moral failures. They're the outcome of a social and economic system and policies that push people to the edges. When housing costs keep climbing, wages lag behind, and inequality widens, those sudden financial shocks hit low-income families even harder. Have we turned our backs on a large part of the population, leaving them to struggle alone, while the social safety net fails to match the reality on the ground? This crisis deepens when people are facing personal challenges they never chose: health problems, caregiving burdens, or community disruptions. Can we just watch from the sidelines while an entire generation risks losing their homes simply because they can't cover the basics? Offering financial support and emergency assistance to families in these situations isn't just an act of kindness. It's part of the duty of government, communities, and all of us who say we care. Can we step up and do more to prevent those on the brink from losing everything? It's painful to see more and more Americans caught behind barriers created by an economic system and policies that didn't keep them in mind. There's a tough reality: many in this country still avoid our current policies, and support systems are falling short when it comes to tackling the roots of homelessness. Despite billions of dollars spent and wave after wave of new initiatives, the crisis keeps expanding, and the number of homeless in America continues to grow. According to the latest HUD report, the population without stable housing rose by about 3% in 2024, reaching nearly 770,000 people. So we have to ask, what exactly are we doing wrong? One major problem lies in how poorly agencies work together. Government departments, nonprofits, and local service providers often operate in silos instead of as a unified network. The coordinated entry system designed to simplify access to support has in many places turned into an obstacle. People face long waits, confusing steps, and complicated rules just to get basic help. Are we building a maze so difficult that those who need help the most can't even find the entrance? Another core issue is how unevenly funds are used and distributed. Large cities like Los Angeles receive millions of dollars each year, yet their sidewalks are still crowded with tents, encampments, and temporary shelters that never lead to true stability. This suggests the problem isn't just about the amount of money, but how it's managed and where it's directed. Are we channeling resources into systems and bureaucracies that struggle to deliver real change on the ground? The result is painfully predictable. The same individuals cycle in and out of short-term shelters, emergency rooms, and stopgap programs without ever finding a long-term solution. Local charities and community organizations, often underfunded and overworked, carry a massive share of the load, while larger government programs move slowly or stall. Without real structural reform, this revolving door of crisis will continue for the homeless in America. Why is it so hard to fix? Is it political indifference, competing interests, or a lack of moral urgency? Until leaders at every level commit to permanent, affordable housing, robust mental health and addiction services, and genuine interagency collaboration, thousands more will keep slipping through the cracks. There's a tough truth we can't dodge. Countless homeless in America aren't just dealing with hunger-freezing nights and worn-out clothes. They're also stuck in exhausting battles inside their own minds. Mental health is a core part of their story, yet it's one of the most ignored. For many, it's exactly what keeps them trapped in the cycle. So why do we look away when we know that with real support, some could heal and start again? Roughly 45% of people experiencing homelessness in the U.S. are living with at least one serious mental health condition: depression, anxiety, PTSD, schizophrenia, and more. This isn't just their problem. When we overlook their mental health, we're carving a deep crack through our whole society. Without treatment, it's incredibly hard to keep a job, maintain relationships, or hold on to stable housing. Add in a broken mental health system, too few beds, too few providers, too many hurdles, and it's no wonder so many stay stuck. Real solutions can't stop at handing over a key. We have to build mental health care into housing itself, on-site support, mobile teams, easy access to treatment. Because if we don't help people heal on the inside, we're only fixing half the problem. Conclusion. The harsh cycle of homelessness is not a random string of bad breaks. It's a tightly woven web of social, economic, and psychological pressures that makes it incredibly difficult for those trapped inside to find a way out. Each setback, each job loss, each policy failure pushes them farther from stability and deeper into uncertainty. The uncomfortable truth is that in a country where the gap between the haves and the have-nots keeps widening, almost anyone could be pulled into this spiral. Breaking it won't come from quick fixes or feel-good short-term projects. It demands a serious long-term commitment from both government and communities. The Housing First model, which secures stable housing before asking people to take on their other struggles, has already shown powerful results in cities across the nation. But to truly tackle the roots, we need a comprehensive support system that connects housing with mental health care, physical health services, addiction treatment, and real job opportunities. So here's the question we all need to stare down. Do we have the courage to recognize homelessness in America for what it really is, a challenge for our entire society, not just a streak of bad luck for a few people at the bottom? Our answer to that question will shape not just their future, but the kind of nation we decide to be.